So the directions for here are to convert square root of 2 plus root 2I to polar form. And I know that square root of 2 is not 5, but I just wanted to make a bigger triangle. So I'm pretending, let me annotate on this, on top of this guy. I'm pretending that this side is square root of 2 and this side is square root of 2. So obviously, what triangle are we in right now? Yeah, we're in the 45, 45, 90 triangle, right? And so in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, I had you guys learn the 45, 45, 90 triangle with this side is x, this side is x, sorry, equals 2, and this is x root 2, right? So if x is root 2 and you multiply it by root 2, what's root 2 times root 2? Does that make sense? Yeah, it's 2. So this side is going to be equal to 2. Let me write it in different colors. So this is 2. So when you're writing your polar coordinates, it's the radius and then the angle, right? So what would the angle be? Yeah, perfect. So then our answer therefore is, sorry, I need my mouse. So my answer is therefore 2 comma pi over 4, right? So there's my polar coordinates. I am done. Okay. If you, okay, so is everybody's good on that, right? That's old stuff. Miss Johnson, give me a bunch of those. Okay, now for when you multiply, can you remind me again? Let's write this out. Can you remind me again? How do you multiply in polar form? Who remembers how we multiply in polar form? There's 2 steps. What do we do with our radii, and then what do we do with our radii, and then what do we do with our, yeah, you multiply your radii, and then what do we do with our angles? Very good. Add angles. So if can you just think about this with me? If I was to show you this and it'd be 2 of these, imagine that I would have 2 of the 2 pi r's, right? 2 pi, I'm sorry, I'm multiplying 2 and 2 comma pi over 4. Is everybody comfortable with that? Yeah. So then if I if I just keep that in mind, I don't have to learn anything new, but you'll see a pattern. So you want me to multiply my radii, Miss Johnson? Yes. So I would get what? What would I get? What would this answer be? Very good. I get 4 comma, and then what would my angle be? Perfect. Pi over 2. So the pi over 2 again comes from the fact that I'm adding pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is 2 pi over 4, which is just really pi over 2. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so then you figuring out the trig power is going to be the same as before, where you go 4 parentheses cosine of pi over 2, and I'm going to copy this so I can do that better, plus I sine pi over 2, right? So this is no surprise, not a big surprise here. But then when we get to 7, now they want us to do it cubed. So notice that our polar form for that first guy is going to be the same as this guy. So I'm just going to copy him. It's 2 comma pi over 4. Not a big deal. So we got 2 comma pi over 4, right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to multiply, or you're going to go cube it, right? And so like I need you to remember back in the day when you would multiply, I don't know, 4 times 5 times 10, right? Technically, you're not multiplying all of them at the same time, right? You're going 4 times 5, which is 20, and then multiplying that by 10, and then you get 200. So everybody's comfortable with this idea? So really, you're going to do this 3 times, right? So 2 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, right? So we already know that 2 pi over 4, not 2 pi over 4, 2 comma pi over 4 times 2 comma pi over 4. We already got that answer. That's our previous guy, which is right here, which is 4 comma pi over 2. So now I want you to think, what happens when I multiply 4 comma pi over 2 times 2 comma pi over 4? Can you do that work really quickly? And let me know what you get. And again, what we're doing is we're looking for the pattern. So we can kind of write similar directions in terms of how do you find the power in polar form. Okay. Okay, very good. So someone already figured out that 4 times 2 is 8, and pi over 2 plus pi over 4, right, is 3 pi over 4, right? Does everybody see that? Very good. Very, very good. Okay, so let me write that down on this slide. So let me write all of what they said. How do I do this? I think this is probably the best if I go here. So because our previous answer, so this is equal to, what I'm saying, this is equal to root 2 plus root 2i squared, right? Times root 2 plus root 2i. We're just multiplying what we previously got to another one. So we knew that this one was, I'm going to go off memory here, guys, so correct me if I'm wrong, 4 comma pi over 2. That's what we got in polar, right? And then we're doing this again, multiplying this by 2 comma pi over 4. And so someone says our answer is all the way down here. Sorry for all of the arrows. But someone said our answer is 4 times 2, which would be 8, comma. And then pi over 2 plus pi over 4 would be 3 pi's over 4, right? So let's put that. I'm just going to fix my answer because writing a fraction is kind of difficult here. Okay, so 3 pi over 4. Any questions on this? It makes sense though, right? The person who figured it out, awesome. I know you get it. But the rest of us, are we okay with where the person got 8 comma 3 pi over 4?
Miss Johnson, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So I know where you got the 8, but the pi, couldn't we just multiply pi over 4 by to the power 3?
Yes. That's so you're already moving into, let's talk about rules, Miss Johnson. Okay, so here You want to talk about this. So power in polar form. And I kind of want this to be in a darker color. Give me a second. Can I do that? Yay. Okay. So the first thing is I don't know what I'm doing with my radii. Maybe someone can figure that part out. Where did we get 8 from? But the second part, in terms of angles, you said multiply the power by the angle. So, and your classmate said multiply this power here, 3, by your pi over 4, Miss Johnson. And that's how you got 3 pi over 4. Exactly. Right? And that doesn't that make sense though? Because the way we got pi over 2 is we added it. So we're going pi over 4 plus pi over 4 plus pi over 4. Another way to say pi over 4 plus pi over 4 plus pi over 4 would just be multiply it by 3. Where do you see 3 here? Awesome. So when you're doing these things, you're actually coming up with the formula. So I'm before I told you how to multiply, you're using your knowledge of how to multiply and building your rules on how you are finding the power. Does that make sense? Good. So does anybody have an idea of what we would write right here for the radii? What would we do with our radii? How did you get from 2 to this 8? What would you say to someone? You did the same thing for R. So you go you went
2 to the power of 3.
oh so you did 2 to the power of 3.
Yeah.
So take radii to the power. Does that make sense? Let's see if that's true. 2 right to the power of 3 is 8. Okay, if that's true, then I should be able to go backwards into our previous one and check our answer. Hold on a second. Let me go back here. There it goes. So, according to what your classmate said, to find the power, he said take their radii. Actually, this is radius right now. Sorry, you only have one radius. So, take your radius, right? So, take your radius, which in this case is 2, and take it to the power, which is 2. Is 2 squared really 4? And you guys are like, yeah, but that makes sense, right? Because the way we got 4 was 2 times 2. Another way to say 2 times 2 is 2 squared. Everybody okay with that? Then it says multiply the power by the angle. So take 2 and multiply it by pi over 4. And yeah, I get pi over 2, which again makes sense because the way I got pi over 2 is we went pi over 4 plus pi over 4, which another way to say pi over 4 plus pi over 4 is pi over 2 times pi over 4. Does that make sense? Am I talking too much and not explaining? So to me, these two make the same sense, or this makes sense because this made sense. Multiplying the radii is the same thing as taking the radius to that power. So remember that we built this on this. It doesn't mean use this rule instead of this rule. It means the reason why this one makes sense is because we built it off of this one. Does that make sense? Okay, if that's true, I should be able to send half of you and have you do this either the long way by going square the squared or the cube times the um, change this 2 to a 3, and I would still get the same answer as these rules. Okay, so good. Can you try that out really quick? Try whichever way you want. Try the power in polar form way, or try multiplying it out one by one and seeing if it's correct. Now, for those of you who are like, Michelle, I want to check both, please check both. So that's what I would do on a test. I would actually do both ways to make sure that I'm absolutely correct. Okay, so just to continue, if we were to do the fourth, I asked you guys to see if it would make sense. We still have this as the polar form of this guy is still being 2 comma pi over 4. Okay. And then your job was to figure out if you multiplied it out or if you used the polar, you would still get the same exact answer, right? So I'm going to change a couple of these numbers here so I can just check my math. So this, I'm changing this. Let me see. Let me change it using green. So now I'm saying that the fourth. Now you could either do the fourth as squared squared, like the squared times squared, or just third to the first, right? That's 4. So what we just got over there on the other side, we got 8 comma 3 pi over 4. And if I multiply those two, I would get 16. And then if I add these two, then I get pi. So this is my answer if I multiplied it out, right? 2 times 2, like for example, a student who doesn't know, 4 to the fourth, they're going to go 4 times 4 is 16. They can either go 16 times 16 or they can go 16 times 4 is 64 and 64 times 4 is whatever that is, right? Yay. Okay, good. So then, I'm going to check using the method that you guys came up with, which is this guy. So the very first thing they want me to do is they want me to take the radius 2 to the power. So I'm going to actually write this out like this so you guys can all see my math. Right? So 2 to the fourth, which is 16. And then they said multiply the power by the angle. So 4, they're going to go 4 times the angle, which is pi over 4. And change that to 4. And is 4 pi over 4 equal to pi? Is that true? Is 4 pi over 4 equal to pi? And you guys are like, yes, that's exactly right, Miss Johnson. So what happened was you all came up with the formula or the procedure in order to have take a polar formed number, take a number in polar form to a power. Does that make sense? All right, very, very strong.